From the glory days of the NWA to the birth of the WWF's family entertainment era to the Monday Night Wars and the rise of AEW, this is Wayback Wrestling Mania, where we cover everything in the professional wrestling world with your hosts, Adam and the Emerald Enthusiast.
Welcome to another episode of Wayback Wrestling Mania. As always, I'm your host, Adam, and with me is my co-host, the Emerald Enthusiast himself, Donnie. Donnie, how's it going?
What's up, everyone? It's the man whose ring runs on fanboy energy. It is the Emerald Enthusiast, and welcome to Wayback Wrestling Mania.
2 back-to-back episodes of this show. Do I keep my promises or do I keep my promises?
That's right. We said we were going to do a little more this year, so...
Unlike the past Leaf general manager who never kept any of his promises. But I digress. That's a different show, which is also on this network. But,
I acknowledge you, my podcast chief.
Yeah, a Toronto Maple Leaf podcast. So look for that probably in a couple of weeks because we'll have a lot to say about that. But for today, it's back to the squared circle, which I've never understood that terminology because it cannot be both. Anyway. That's a geometrical nightmare. That's what that is. But we're here to talk Backlash.
Yes.
Which emanated from Tampa Bay.
Mm-hmm.
And Michael Cole made mention this is the arena where the Tampa Bay Lightning play. And I just thought to myself, oh, that's the arena where, for the first time in 19 years, John Tavares scored in overtime to put the Leafs in the second round. And yes. Matthew Nyes made a mess because much like Randy Orton was, remember the legend killer gimmick?
Right. Oh, yeah.
Matthew Nyes is like the Florida killer gimmick because every time he plays a team from Florida, he just goes, he becomes Connor McDavid for a couple of games.
Speaking of other sports, I just saw somebody this week say that there's a lot of conversation about LeBron James retiring, and somebody said, "Well, we would know if Gunther came out and put him in a sleeper hold at the end of the season. Then we would know."
Maybe you should. Maybe that would be a good cross promotion between WWE and NBA. But so we're talking about Backlash. It was a relatively quick show, Donnie. So let's get into it.
Yeah, it was only 5 matches, which began with one of the longest match of the night, and that was Braun Breaker with Paul Heyman against Seth Rollins in a singles match. No belts were up, but obviously this had this revolved around Braun Breaker taking over the Vision, and obviously this is not over. We're still seeing Seth Rollins feud with the Vision. But this was a really entertaining match. Glad to see Seth Rollins back. He does look healthy from recovering from yet another injury, as was Braun Breaker. You remember Braun Breaker came back at WrestleMania and did that spot, but he was scheduled to have a big match at WrestleMania, and he couldn't because he got hurt a couple of months beforehand.
Right. No, I mean both performers did excellent work. I mean, I believe there were like 3 or 4 spears.
Yes.
From Braun Breaker in this match, and like each one,
Seth earned his paycheck.
Escalated. He got more. Like there was the one. I think what was it? The second last one before the final finish was when Seth was on the top rope and was going to do like a super curb stomp.
Yeah.
And then Braun caught him with that spear as he was coming off the top rope. That was impressive. Like, okay, that's impressive on both guys because, if that goes wrong, that could lead to massive injury for both guys. But it was impressively done. I thought that was going to be the end of the match, but it wasn't because I think Seth kicked out of that one. And then, if you look on the last one, there's a funny moment where as Braun is running the ropes, he kind of taps Seth on the back to be like, get in position. I'm coming, right? And so So that was kind of funny. Like if you notice it, it's like, oh, I get, because
Right, yeah.
Seth was kind of turned, like not ready to take it. So as he was coming, but it was kind of funny just picking up on that. But yeah, I really enjoyed this match. I thought it furthered the feud, but also you knew it wasn't going to be over by a long shot, because Seth has been on the wrong end of this feud for most of it. So you know he's going to get his revenge at some point. But they'll do it while still making Braun look strong so that he can potentially challenge for some titles down the road.
Well, Braun is obviously going to be one of the people in the main event scene long term.
Yeah, well, he's younger, so
I thought he gave a great performance. I will say I'm not overly fond of his top rope Frankensteiner, because he hits it and there's always a delay between the way he does it and his opponent coming off the top rope. We saw this later on with Asuka and Io. They hit it the way it was supposed to be.
Yeah.
So I will say that there are still some things that he could improve on a little bit more, but the guy's ready to be world champion. They've got a few guys who are ready to step in when Cody and Punk, when they're done with their time, they've got guys who are ready to pick up the slack and be that next generation of ticket sellers, needle movers.
Absolutely, and that's what I got from this match. Is that Braun is ready. In terms of what you're saying with the top rope Frankensteiner, I think you're right, but also the onus is also on the opponent in terms of his reaction as well, right? So it's both, it's give and take there. So, but yeah, it was a solid match. I really enjoyed this match, and it was nice that there was no titles. It was just this is the feud, and two guys are going to fight it out,
And honestly, after the 2-night massive experience of WrestleMania, I didn't mind that this was a 5-match pay-per-view.
Yeah. Not everything has to be 5.5 hours.
Exactly. Next match up, we have Trick Williams with Little Yachty against Sami Zayn for the WWE United States Championship.
I just want to say, I understand Sami Zayn is Canadian, and I should cheer for him because he's Canadian. He's a great performer. He does great work in the ring. I'm going to preface all that by saying, great. I just can't cheer for the guy for the simple fact that he is a known, out in public, jersey-wearing,
right,
Montreal Canadian fan.
Right. As is Kevin Owens. You and I have had this conversation.
To top it off, if you look at Kevin Owens, he looks like the mascot of the Montreal Canadiens. Not Kevin Owens, sorry.
Sami Zayn.
Sami Zayn. He looks identical. They're like identical twins to the mascot of the Montreal Canadiens. So I can't cheer for him. So I'm glad Trick Williams won. I was rooting for him. I'm the Trick Williams guy.
Well, I think WWE
I was happy with the spoilers. I was happy with the result.
I think they have come to their senses with Trick Williams. They wanted him to be a heel. The crowds did not. They wanted to be behind this guy. He's another one from that new generation who is really picking up the banner and is running with it. This was another great match. I've enjoyed this feud. I had no idea who Little Yachty was before this. But I think
I have no idea who he is either.
Yeah, he's one of many celebrities that they brought in. I've had no idea who they were. I like this guy. He is, I've liked the whole gingerbread man thing that's happened since then, where he came up out of the coffin and he popped the mask off and it was Little Yachty. I like what he has to say. I think he adds to the whole, to the program. And so, yeah, that's my only problem with celebrities is I'm like, introduce this person to me. Don't assume that I know who they are just because they have a big following somewhere else.
And you know what the funny part about that is? He's not trying to wrestle. Exactly. He's just hitting Sami Zayn with a kendo stick, which I'm like, go for it.
Right.
Hit him as hard as you can because he's a half knock the crap out of him.
He hit him with a candy cane the other night.
Yeah, like knock the Montreal Canadian fandom out of him with the kendo stick and the candy cane, by all means.
Yeah.
But there's no need for you to wrestle, so I like that, right? You know, that he's not getting in the ring.
But Trick Williams, he's a natural at this, and I think they did the right thing by continuing the idea of Sami Zayn being very frustrated, but Trick Williams getting another big win and showcasing his abilities as he's now doing on TV week after week. And so I think WWE has another gem if they play their cards right.
Yeah. It was such... He's so skilled. Trick Williams is, and like he's got the star power, the charisma. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So I just, and like he's got the look, the size, and he's a big, tall guy, but he's got the agility, like the way he does with those kicks.
He's not so big that he's muscle bound. He can still move very well.
Yeah.
They were in his own hometown the other night on SmackDown, and I mean the crowd was just electric for him.
Yeah, and I don't think you can turn that guy heel. I think the crowd just
not right. No, definitely not right now. The crowds they like him too much.
Yeah. He's got a bit of a Shawn Michaels vibe, but like Shawn Michaels was a prick back in the day.
Even when he was a babyface, he was kind of that way. Yeah.
Yeah. Whereas Trick Williams doesn't seem like a jackass or a jerk. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No.
Where now I'm not talking about current Shawn Michaels. I'm sure if I met current Shawn Michaels in public, he'd be a decent human being. I'm talking about late 80s, early 90s, and Shawn Michaels.
Right. Who he's admitted that stuff.
Right.
So.
Yeah. Well, so like he gave off that selfish, self-absorbed prick energy, whereas I get none of that with Trick Williams. And so, but yeah, he's just like his athleticism and just the things he can do move-wise with his feet, the way it's just.
And by the way, that jacket that he wore in was amazing. The one with the train that was like 100 yards long. Yeah,
that was very theatrical.
That would make a cool action figure.
At some point I knew you were probably going to work that in somewhere. I didn't know where, but yeah.
So
any highlights from the match that you want to mention, or?
No, again, I really appreciated Trick's athleticism there. I like that. I will say I did like that Sami was looking at the crowd and throwing his hands up like, I don't know what you people want. It really furthered the idea of him being this guy who's turning to this frustrated heel.
Right.
And blaming the fans of, why are you rooting for this guy? Why aren't you still rooting for me? So I think that's going to work out well for him.
I wish I was in the crowd. I would have yelled, because you're a Habs fan, and then with a megaphone.
So that match was over. Again, Trick Williams won by pinfall, 12 minutes and 50 seconds.
And you knew the title wasn't changing hands. There was no way.
No, not right now. There's still a lot of blood in that, I think, and they're obviously. By the way, I cracked up the other night when R-Truth, he came in and gave Sami Zayn a rose and said, "I'm sorry about the gingerbread man. I see the family resemblance," and I was like, "Oh my God."
R-Truth he's just.
I don't know how they keep a straight face around that guy. He's magnificent.
He's just a joy to watch. You're in for a laugh every time he comes on screen.
So next up, I will say this was a match. I was a little disappointed in this, and I'll tell you why. We have Danhausen and Minihausen, who turned out to be El Torito, a veteran luchador, against The Miz and Kit Wilson, a tag team match that went 11 minutes, 38 seconds, with Danhausen and Minihausen winning.
Right.
I was nothing against El Torito. Obviously, he's a skilled worker, but I thought there were any number of baby faces that could have been Sammy's partner just for this match that would have gotten a huge ovation. LA Knight, Oba Femi. Oba and Danhausen are friends. I'm like, Can you imagine Oba coming out with the face, paint or whatever, and calling him Oba House? Yeah. Exactly. I'm like, the crowd would have erupted. So I just think they could have gone with someone else.
Yeah, that's a fair point.
Yeah. But the match itself was very entertaining. Obviously, don't expect more of Danhausen than what he is. He's a mid-card comedy act. It works. WWE is selling a lot of merchandise. Danhausen is connecting with fans, and I like him because he's a nerd. He loves comics. He loves action figures, so I like the guy.
Yeah.
It did work. I will say I think Danhausen needs a different finisher. I think that big kick that he does, that seems like a big guy move to me.
Yeah.
So I wish he would do something different there, but the match itself worked fine.
So a couple of things I want to say about this. When it started, I'm like, oh, this is not going to be like, this is just going to be comedy. It's going to be a waste of overall. It's going to fill time basically, right? I was entertained. Like when he brings out the machine and it starts smoking and doing the whole thing, and out walks whatever the hell the actual guy, the guy's name is, but Minihausen, and you hear Michael Cole and Corey Graves talking about, no, sorry, not Corey Graves, Wade Barrett.
Wade Barrett, yeah.
And Michael Cole is legitimately trying to sell people on this is a clone.
Exactly.
Now look, I know we're living in the real world, and I know that that's not a clone. That's a little, a little person, I guess.
That's a little person, El Torito.
Right. I know that. But I'll tell you what, for the purposes of that match, I thought that it was a clone. I just went along with it.
It was fun. It was meant to give you a breather between the other two matches beforehand and the matches after that.
And then when Kid Wilson put him back in there, and another.
He's kind of the perfect foil for Danhausen. This kind of self-absorbed, kind of a Shawn Michaelish type of heel, like you're talking about. Yeah.
And then the best part was when they all go down and they swarmed Wade Barrett's commentary thing, and he's like, "What do you do?" He spit on me or something. And Wade Barrett's freaking out. He goes, "What is this thing?" He wouldn't even call him a person. I could not stop laughing.
Yeah, like I said, it's working. They're selling so much merchandise. By the way, Danhausen, away from the ring, a very smart business person. I heard that he has trademarked like every aspect of his gimmick. So if things ever go sour between he and WWE, and we know things happen like that over time, he can still be Danhausen. They don't own that gimmick to where he has to try to go away and get himself away from what his gimmick is.
But I got to tell you, I was so entertained. I bought the whole damn thing. Again, I know it's a little person, it's an actual wrestler. But for the sake of it, how long was the match? 8 minutes? 11 minutes?
Let me check the time here. I want to say 11 minutes and 38 seconds.
For the sake of that 11 minutes, man, I bought that cloning machine worked. And I was all on board. I wish I could use that machine to clone some of my multiverse wives or myself, so I can enjoy all these multiverse wives.
Yeah.
But for 11 minutes I bought it. Kudos to Wade Barrett and Michael Cole for actually selling it, because that's a hard thing to do. And I got to say, there's nothing like watching it. Just because their characters are so smug and smarmy, there's nothing like watching two guys like Kit Wilson and The Miz get the tar beaten out of them by Danhausen and a bunch of little people.
Well, and I will say this, though. I think The Miz is that's a good way to kind of mentor Kit Wilson and to help get him over with the audience. So I think they're booking him well, too.
So that was so entertaining.
Other than the loss to Jelly Roll, that was unacceptable.
Okay, that was kind of stupid, but whatever.
So next up we have what was, in my opinion, not only the match of the night, but a match of the year candidate. Ooh. That was Io Sky against Asuka in a singles match. That was absolutely incredible. These two know each other very well. They've worked together many times. And again, I was very impressed. And we saw that after the match, a lot was added to this because Asuka hugged Io, and then the next night on Raw, she left. And from what we're hearing now, it seems like Asuka is possibly going into like at least a semi-retirement and will not be back to WWE anytime soon.
Right. Now look, let me preface this by saying I don't have any emotional attachment to either of these performers. Personally, like it's not like when they come on and say, "Oh, I'm excited because these are two of my favorites." Like I just don't have that. For example, if The Rock were to come back, or let's say Seth Rollins is in a match, or Roman Reigns or Cody, like you get emotionally. I get emotionally invested in those matches because I feel like I have a stake in those performers. Like I'm or I have I'm a fan of those performers. So these two have never been two favorites of mine. But I will say it was one hell of a match, and they were exceptional in their performances. Like some of the stuff they were pulling off is incredible.
Yeah, the athleticism we know about both Io and Asuka. Yeah. Asuka can make things look very legitimate. She's very fast, very athletic. She has a lot of incredible strikes. We know about, they call Io the genius of the sky. Just some incredible stuff. And they didn't do too much outside the ring. They actually let this be a wrestling match, and that's what I appreciated. I've told you before, I think they overdo spots with the tables and the announce table too much. That wasn't the case here. They really put on a wrestling clinic, and it was a fitting end to seemingly Asuka's time in WWE, at least as a full-time performer.
Right.
By the way, we also saw there's been a lot of negative press with WWE. They released Kairi Sane, and so now we have the Kabuki Warriors who were in the middle of a huge program. We're not going to see that. They also asked the New Day to take a pay cut, which I thought was absolutely absurd. You honor the people who have given you 15 to 20 years of their life and have been up and down the road with this company. These aren't the people that you asked to take a pay cut. You want to save money somewhere? Forget the celebrities. So that's my rant.
Yeah, there were some unfortunate cuts.
Also, Bo Dallas. I thought that was somebody who could be around for a while.
Well, because they were building it up with the Wyatt Six, right? They had when they first came, they were building something, and then poof. So I'm wondering, like, you make these cuts, and you ask people to take pay cuts. Maybe put them in better spots and have long-term vision.
And I get that sometimes they do release people who aren't being used, who haven't improved, or they can't find a role for them. That was definitely not Kofi Kingston and Xavier Woods. We never even got to see the resolution to their heel turn on Big E.
It's like, it's almost like the WWE forgets or loses track of how to use them, and so that's not on them. That's on your writers and your bookers.
Yeah. But Io Sky won this match again, and it was a kind of a war of attrition storyline where they're trading finishers and they're trading moves back and forth. Io gets the pin, and the crowd gave him both a standing ovation.
And it played what I thought they did beautifully was play into their long history with each other. Yes. Even going back outside of WWE, right? That really helped sell the story of the match.
Yeah, and as of right now, I don't exactly know what's going on with Asuka, but Asuka has been one of my favorites for a very long time, and I'm sorry to see her go, but at the same time, I'm hearing it's much more of a mutual thing than it is with like New Day, where she was ready because she's in her 40s too, and I think she was ready to maybe take a little bit less work at this point.
Sure, fair enough. Yeah, great match though.
Incredible match, like I said, match of the year candidate. So next up, we have the main event, and that was for the World Heavyweight Championship. Roman Reigns against Jacob Fatu, the Samoan Werewolf.
This was a great match too.
They've been promising us this match for a while, and I'm glad they finally got around to giving it.
Might have been my personal favorite match of the night. I'll tell you a couple of reasons. They really sold, like during the entrance, Jacob's, troubled past, and he's a wild man. They really built that up and sold it.
Yeah.
And they also mentioned his relation to, I think it was Haku, wasn't it?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Which was nice because obviously nostalgia. I remember Haku. Right?
Yeah.
So, but they really sold this guy's nuts. Like he could snap at any moment. And I gotta tell you, like logic dictates, okay, Roman isn't gonna lose less than a month after he won the title back. Or he won this title, I should say. But in the context of the match, there were moments where I'm like, maybe Jacob is going to win this thing.
It wouldn't surprise me. I've heard that Roman is going to be around for a few months and then take another break. And of course, he's got bigger fish to fry. It wouldn't surprise me if this feud ends up with Jacob Fatu winning the World Championship.
Yeah. Because Roman said he's going to be around all summer, right?
Yeah.
So
it wouldn't surprise me if at SummerSlam we get
at SummerSlam he'll probably lose, and then. So yeah, if it was, do you think they're going to build up? Do you think it's going to be a continuation of Jacob versus Roman at SummerSlam, or do you think they're going to go Oba versus Roman?
I don't think you want to put. I think Oba's first championship win should be against a heel that people can really get behind. I don't have a problem with eventually, us versus, Obafemi versus Roman Reigns, but I think you could do that. That sounds like a WrestleMania match to me.
That's what I was going to say. So who's the current Intercontinental Champion?
Penta.
Okay, so it's not a heel. So scratch that.
I would like to see something like Gunther get his hands on the World Heavyweight, although he's on Raw right now, but get his hands on one of these titles and Oba beat somebody like Gunther.
Yeah. Because I would be fully on board with what you're saying, which is have Jacob beat, let's say, Roman at SummerSlam, and then Roman takes a couple months off to do movies and whatnot, and then at the Royal Rumble, Roman comes back and beats Jacob again. And then that sets up Oba versus Roman at Mania.
And there's a lot of main event possibilities there. Obafemi versus Braun Breaker. Obafemi versus Jacob Fatu.
Absolutely.
Obafemi versus eventually Trick Williams. There's a lot of possibilities now. It's an exciting time to be a WWE fan in some aspects because we're getting to see this next generation being built.
Yeah.
On the main roster.
It seems like they're finally building it up properly. Like they've come to realize that, hey, the past generation can't do this forever.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, we're seeing, obviously Randy Orton, CM Punk, even Cody. They're all in their 40s. They've all worked a lot, and all good things come to an end. So
yeah, and you have to build your stars, right? Otherwise, people are going to lose interest, right? The reason why people are so gung-ho and rah-rah about nostalgic wrestlers coming back for the longest time is because they didn't do a good enough job of building up their young talent, right?
WWE, they really had that problem for the longest time. That's why they had to keep bringing back Goldberg and Brock Lesnar every year at WrestleMania because they didn't have those main event guys built up.
Right. So it seems like they're finally doing it right now. But in terms of the match, I thought it was so hard hitting and
it was
violent.
Stiff. Yeah.
Like you could tell, they really made you believe that, this is much more than just a wrestling match. Like there is the family tension there, almost like Roman is like, how dare you, challenge me,
yeah.
Right?
And I like the way that they booked the finish with Roman pulling the turnbuckle off, and he runs Jacob into it, and he gets Jacob down just long enough to get the 1, 2, 3, but then Jacob pops up, he revives, and he goes crazy again.
Right. Now, wasn't it a couple of things I want to highlight? Didn't it take like 3 Superman punches to take down Jacob?
And a couple of spears, yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, like they did a very good job of even with the realization of, hey, everybody pretty much knows Roman's going to win this thing. They still managed to do it in a way where Jacob looks like a formidable threat, like a real threat. You know what I mean?
Right. Oh, yes.
And
I'm also intrigued with how Solo works into this. We've seen him talking to Jacob, and I was like, does Jacob continue to go it alone? Or I've heard some theories online that eventually the Usos are going to turn on Roman and end up with Jacob.
Interesting. I can see that, yeah. Like it's those old scars, the old rivalries, or the hurt from his past behavior comes back to haunt him, if that makes any,
Yes, exactly.
So yeah, I could buy that for sure. But again, they did a really good job of making me believe that there could be points where Jacob would win this match.
Mm-hmm.
So that was good. And wasn't there like a spot on the outside where, again, it involved the announce table?
Yeah, didn't Jacob Samoan drop Roman onto it?
Yes, yeah. That was, and I'm like, okay, that's gotta hurt.
Yeah,
I'm like that hurt me just watching it.
Yeah, Jacob does his Samoan drop is awesome. The way
it's a thing. It's a work of art.
Yeah,
it's a work of art for sure.
Yeah.
And then you're right at the end. 2 things where Roman got him down just long enough for the 3 count, but also the fact that he popped back up and went nuts.
Mm-hmm.
And when he had that, what's that maneuver called on him?
What move are we talking about?
When he had him in the hold, where he was foaming at the mouth.
The Tongan death grip.
Yeah, right. Okay, there it is. It reminded me of so many times. Remember when Mankind had that feud with the Undertaker?
Yeah.
Yeah. Where he had that feud with the Undertaker and he kept putting it on him and the Undertaker was foaming at the mouth. It reminded me so much of that, back in the day. And but yeah, the way Jacob was just plowing through the like all the officials and backstage, authority figures, just tossing them aside. It was great. So yeah, again, I don't think this feud is over. And I think that may be the combination where at SummerSlam, Jacob wins it and then, quote unquote, injures Roman so he could be off screen to do his movies or what have you.
One other thing we should mention, John Cena came out and announced a tournament called the John Cena Classic that a lot of people are like, they don't understand it, and I'm a little unclear myself that fans are going to be voting on who the winner is, and that's how people will advance.
So the way first of all, let me just say,
go ahead.
I like the idea of spotlighting younger talent across the board. So it's going to be a mix of NXT performers versus Raw and SmackDown performers, and they're all going to be in this tournament. So I like that aspect of it, right?
Mm-hmm.
the way I understand it is, it's not like, let's say, as the matches are happening, the audience is going to call in and determine the winner. You know what I mean? It's not like, let's say, remember in DC Comics when they had that number to call in. Okay, if you want Jason Todd to die, call this number. If you want him to live, call. It's not going to be like that while they're doing the match. My understanding of it, and I could be way off, but this is my understanding, is that, let's say it's LA Knight versus, pick somebody, Tony D'Angelo from NXT, right? And let's say LA Knight wins the match. But Tony D'Angelo gave such a great performance that the fans are like, you know what? He deserves to be rewarded. We're going to put him through as well into the tournament.
Okay.
That's what I understand, how I understand it could work. So even if you lose, it doesn't automatically mean you're out. The fans can save you.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
It does. What the way that you're saying it, I'm just not sure exactly. There's got to be, there's got to be a target at the end of this, and hopefully things go their way.
There's going to be a championship and all that jazz,
yeah.
Right? So, yeah.
We don't want another brawl for all type of scenario where things just kind of go chaotic and amok.
Right. But yeah, so I really I like this match. I love the way they pulled it off with having Roman win, of course, but still keeping Jacob strong. And him going nuts at the end was the payoff of all that build up from the commentators at the beginning saying he's crazy. He could lose it at any moment.
All gas, no brakes.
So yeah, I really enjoyed this match. For me, it was my favorite match of the night. All right, so let's go ahead and rate the show then, overall.
Overall, I'm going to give it a B. There wasn't too much to complain about. Again, incredible match between Asuka and Io. I like pretty much all the storylines. Again, I was a little disappointed with Danhausen's partner. I could have done without the announcement of the John Cena Classic. That could have been on Raw or something like that. But overall, there really wasn't much to complain about, and I like that it was short and sweet. I think that was the way to go with the post-WrestleMania pay-per-view.
Yeah, what was great is I was watching a couple of the NHL playoff games, and then when those finished, it was like 10:30. And so I put it on the replay of Backlash, and by like 12:30, 1 o'clock, I was done. I was like, oh, great.
Yeah.
It was fantastic.
Did you see all those social media spots where Danhausen took old Backlash promos and edited himself into it? Yeah,
those were hilarious.
And so all those people were saying that Backlash, and all of a sudden it's him, and obviously he's got himself in going, at Backlash.
That was hilarious. I had a good laugh with those, yeah. Those were good. But yeah, I'm going to give it a solid B as well. Solid show. Good matches. No titles change hands, but I didn't care.
As long as the action's good and the storylines make sense.
And you could tell that Obafemi is so over because every time John Cena mentioned him, it was the fans went off, right? So
there is your next big star. And no disrespect to Trick Williams or Braun Breaker or anybody else who's coming along. Right now, Obafemi could be the guy because... And the thing, I watch other big guys. He moves so much better than so many other guys his size. He really is something special.
He really does. But I think that brings the show to an end. So, Donnie, if the fans want to talk more wrestling with you, where can they find you?
You can find me on Facebook or Blue Sky or Instagram or YouTube as The Emerald Enthusiast. By the way, check out my YouTube channel. That's Emerald Enthusiast. That does include pro wrestling collectible reviews. Let's talk comics. Let's talk collectibles. Let's talk WWE and the larger pro wrestling world.
If you want to follow me, it's at Adam_leafsfan. I'm on Twitter, I'm on, or X, whatever you want to call it. I'm on Blue Sky, which is a variation of the same handle, but some extra nonsense in there. I'll post one of them or both of them in the description below, and you can choose to follow me on either if you want. If you want to keep the conversation going on Facebook, we have a Facebook group for the Multiverse Musings Podcast Network. Put the link in the description below. You can click that, and we can continue the conversation there if you want.
Adam and I hope that you enjoyed this episode. If so, please subscribe to this channel. And remember that Danhausen is forever, from the first time he clones himself to the last. So long, everyone.